Now don't get me wrong, new bikes are amazing. They're fast, they're shiny, they make you feel like a professional rider for at least the first 5 minutes. And then you stall it in front of your mates and remember who you really are. Let's fix that. There's a bunch of older bikes out there just quietly doing everything you actually need. Starting, running, and not trying to bankrupt you in the process. No hype, no drama, just bikes that work. And occasionally make you look better than you deserve. And weirdly enough, that's usually more fun. Honda CR250R, early 90s steel frame. The Vibe, the wait, this is better bike. Everyone goes hunting for the 96 or the 97 with the aluminum frame. Meanwhile, these early 90s steel frame CRs are just sitting there like, you sure about that? From 1990 to 94, Honda absolutely nailed it. The engines were strong, the handling was spot on, and they corner in a way that just makes you look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. They don't have the hype, which is great, because it means you're not paying extra just to say you own one. And then there's Jeremy McGrath, who basically looked at the newer aluminum frame and went, nah, I'm good, and kept racing the older steel bike. That tells you everything. It's one of those bikes where you ride it once and go, hang on, why did we move on from this again? The technicals. Power. 43 horsepower at 8,500 revolutions per minute. Torque. 38 newton meters at 8,000 revolutions per minute. Weight. 97 kilograms dry. The power curve. The double step. Decent mid-range followed by a massive hit once the power valve opens. It's the most aggressive bike on this list, an absolute adrenaline rush. Current pricing, $2,500 to $4,800. Buy it because if it was good enough for the King McGrath, it's definitely good enough for you. Honda XR400R, 1996 to 2004. The Vibe, the unkillable tractor. The script. The XR400R was already old tech when it came out, which, funnily enough, is exactly why it's still such a good idea now. No radiators to smash, no electronics having a bad day, no drama. Just a big, air-cooled engine that makes torque everywhere and doesn't really care what you do to it. This thing has a reputation for being basically indestructible, like probably outlive you levels of reliable. People joke you could drown one in a river, drag it out, kick it a few times, and carry on like nothing happened. Meanwhile, modern bikes are having a full emotional breakdown because a sensor got wet. It's not flashy, it's not fast in a scary way, but it will start, it will run, and it will get you back to the truck, which suddenly feels like a pretty good feature. The technicals. Power, 34 horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute. Torque, 33 newton meters at 5,500 revolutions per minute. Weight, 116 kilograms dry. The power curve. A tractor-like torque mountain. It peaks early and stays flat. It doesn't like to rev, but it will chug up a vertical hill in second gear at a walking pace. Current pricing, $2,800 to $4,500. Buy it because when the apocalypse comes, this is the only thing that will still be running. Kawasaki KDX200 220, 1995 to 2006. The Vibe, the wait, why am I winning bike. If you want a bike that refuses to die and occasionally makes you look like a hero, the KDX is it. On paper, it's a two-stroke. In reality, it behaves more like a polite four-stroke that just wants you to have a nice day. No drama, no surprises, just traction and forward motion. This thing got called the cheater bike back in the day, and not because it was fast in a scary way. It was fast in a lazy way. As in, you're not even trying that hard, and somehow you're still beating your mates up the hill. While they're wrestling 250 motocross bikes and questioning their life choices, you're just kind of cruising past. It's tough, parts are easy to find, and it'll outlast most relationships. And the best part? While everyone else is dropping big money on shiny MX bikes, you can pick one of these up for way less and still be the one waiting at the top, acting like it was skill. The technicals: power, 35 horsepower crank, 28 horsepower wheel. Torque, 25 Newton meters. Weight, 101 kilograms dry. The power curve: a linear, flat power curve. Unlike a light switch MX bike, the KIPS system builds power steadily from 3,000 to 8,000 RPM. It finds traction where others just spin. Current pricing: $2,200 to $3,800. Buy it because you want a bike that helps you finish the trail, not one that fights you the whole way. Yamaha IT Series, post-1980. The Vibe, the smarter YZ. Everyone wants the YZ. Prices are up, people are getting emotional about them. It's a whole thing. Meanwhile, the IT is sitting right there, basically the same bike, just a bit more grown up about it. IT stands for International Trials, which is a fancy way of saying it was built to actually last more than 20 minutes without complaining. You get the same YZ DNA, but with a wide ratio gearbox, a headlight, and a bit less attitude. So instead of being amazing for one short, intense burst, it's actually usable for, a full day of riding. Weird concept. And the best part? While everyone's busy overpaying for YZs, you can usually pick up an IT for a lot less, and do more with it. It's basically the YZ for people who want to ride all day, rather than just talk about how fast they are for 5 minutes. The technicals for the IT250. Power, 32 horsepower. Torque, 30 Newton meters. Weight, 103 kilograms dry. The power curve, a wide ratio power band with a meaty mid-range. It offers a smooth bell curve that lets you stay in one gear for a huge range of trail speeds. Current pricing, $1,500 to $2,500. Buy it for the YZ heritage, but keep it for the legendary 6-speed gearbox. First-gen Yamaha YZ250F, 2001 to 2005. The Vibe, the "this seems unfair" bike. When this showed up, it kind of ruined a lot of people's day. Up until then, 125 two-strokes were the thing. And then this little 250 four-stroke rolls in, revs to the moon, hooks up everywhere, and suddenly the rules feel a bit flexible. People even called it cheating at the time, which usually just means they were getting beaten by one. It didn't kill the 125s overnight, but let's just say it definitely started the countdown. They made a lot of these, so they're still easy to find, and if you get one that's been properly looked after, top end done, not completely ignored, you're getting a bike that still feels surprisingly modern. All the performance, none of the collector price tag. Which is great, unless you were really attached to your 125. The technicals. Power, 42 horsepower at 10,500 revolutions per minute. Torque, 29 Newton meters at 8,500 revolutions per minute. Weight, 97 kilograms dry. The power curve, a screaming upward diagonal. With its 5-valve head, this bike wants to be wrung out high in the rev range. It's the most modern-feeling bike on this list. Current pricing: $2,000 to $3,500. Buy it because you want to experience the four-stroke revolution that started it all. Suzuki PE Series, pure Enduro. The Vibe, the "oh, this actually works" bike. While everyone else is busy chasing flashy motocross bikes, the Suzuki PE was built for something slightly less glamorous, like finishing the ride. These things made their name in events like the International 6 Days Trial, which, if you're not familiar, is less about looking cool and more about surviving. And that's kind of the whole point of the PE. It's simple, tough, and designed to be worked on without needing a full emotional support team. They even gave it a quick-change rear wheel setup, so instead of turning a flat tire into a full afternoon project, you just swap it and carry on. Imagine that. It doesn't have the hype. It doesn't have the collector crowd driving prices up, which is exactly why it makes sense. If you actually want to get into vintage enduro riding or racing without paying extra just because something looks fast parked, this is a very smart way to do it. The Technicals PE 250. Power, 28 horsepower. Torque, 28 Newton meters. Weight, 104 kilograms dry. The Power Curve. Predictable and soft. It has a softer bottom end than the IT, designed to find traction in mud and technical sections where high-strung race bikes fail. Current pricing: $1,200 to $2,200. Buy it because you want to show the YZ guys that Suzuki was doing factory tech 40 years ago. Suzuki DR350, 1990 to 1999. The Vibe. The "why didn't I buy one sooner" bike. The DR650 gets all the attention as the forever bike, but the DR350 is sitting right next to it, quietly being better off-road. It's lighter, a bit more lively, and way happier when the trail gets tight. Not intimidating, not sluggish, just easy to get along with. Before the Suzuki DRZ400 showed up, this was kind of the sweet spot. Not as heavy as a 650, not as frantic as a 250, just right. It's the kind of bike where you can ride to the trail, disappear into some single track for a few hours, and then ride home like nothing happened. No van, no drama. It doesn't try to be impressive, which is probably why it ends up impressing you anyway. The Technicals. Power. 30 horsepower at 7,600 revolutions per minute. Torque. 35 Newton meters at 6,200 revolutions per minute. Weight, 130 kilograms dry. The Power Curve. Remarkably flat and forgiving. The 6-speed transmission means you can keep it in the meat of the torque across a massive range of speeds. Current pricing: $1,800 to $3,500. Buy it for the 6-speed gearbox and the fact that you can actually ride it to the trails. So there you go. Proof you don't need the latest, greatest wallet-destroying machine to have a good time on two wheels. Turns out, bikes that start, run properly, and don't fight you the whole time are actually pretty enjoyable. Who knew? Now, I'm sure I've missed a few. There's always that one bike someone swears by that refuses to die and somehow makes them look like a better rider than they really are. So let me know in the comments, what did I miss? And if you're out there happily riding something old, slightly scruffy, and way more fun than it has any right to be, you're probably doing it right. I'll see you in the next one. Mike from Moto Touro.